Okay, geographers, get ready to see me snap. This is my third effort at recording this first video for these things that you're going to be doing here. Nothing is working. Technology is failing me, but I'm not going to let that stop me. What, just because I've been saying the same thing to myself in my office over and over all day and getting nowhere closer to being done? Doesn't affect me at all. All right, we're going to get through this. So, what we're going to do today, geographers, is we're going to learn a few things. It's connected to what we did last time with the aerial imagery, taking the aerial photo and digitizing the river stuff and all of that. It's similar to that, but we're going to take it a little bit further, use a slightly different resource. But one key thing is we're going to do some georeferencing today. This term, it's completely made up. It's another one of those Esri things where they slap geo on the front of a word to make it sound fancier. All it means is when you take a scanned image, like this map that you see before you, and you tell the computer where in actual geographic space it belongs, right? Like as it stands right now, it's just an image. The computer doesn't know. When I bring it into ArcGIS Pro, it doesn't know that it's a map, that it belongs in a certain place. It can't figure that out, okay? At least not at this point. So we need to tell it. That's what georeferencing is. Now, when you worked with that aerial image last time, that's that aerial photo that we brought in, the Amargosa Creek thing, it knew where to go, right? And I think we looked at it, there's that world file, the little tiny file that came with the aerial photo. That's the thing that told the computer where to place it. This map doesn't have one of those. Why not? Well, it's because I deleted it. I got rid of it so that you could learn how to make one of these things. And it's a case where, with a map like this, a topographic map, I got this from the USGS, the United States Geological Survey, got it from their website. When I downloaded it, it had that file with it. So for a lot of the stuff, you don't need to worry about it. But super important to understand how georeferencing works, to know how to do it, because so much of your data that you're going, if you're really working with this stuff, so much of this is going to come from sources that aren't perfect and ready to go. In a lot of the jobs I've had, I've inherited these map rooms and all, documents and all sorts of stuff. Let that expire. All sorts of things that weren't readily digitized. I had to go in, find a map, put it through a wide format scanner, actually scan it so that it's this digital thing, and then go in and figure out where it's supposed to be. Okay? You do this a lot, still to this day, even though we've got so much data out there that's already digital, still very useful skill. So that's what we're going to do here, okay? So this map, you can find this in Canvas in the File section, Data. I think I might have zipped it to make it easier for you to download and make it a little smaller, but go ahead and unzip it, and it's the one that's CA underscore Placerville and all this other stuff. And that's referring to the little town of Placerville in Northern California. We're doing this for a couple of reasons. The main reason is this is where I grew up in this area. So I know it. I like to, bring El Dorado County into lessons whenever I can. But also, it's an old town by California standards. It's also the location where gold was discovered, at least by white folks, and when California was actually a state, and that launched the gold rush and all sorts of stuff. So this region has tons of mines that were dug, in the late 19th century. And the date on this map, you can tell by the number up here, but we can read it and be sure, down in this map collar, the stuff just outside of the map where a lot of information exists. This map is from 1893. So after the gold rush had subsided, but there are a lot of mines that are located on this map here. Independence Mine, Crystal Mine, all that, it's all over the place here. And some other fascinating little names like Slug Gulch, things that don't exist anymore, right? That's the cool thing about working with these historical maps, especially the ones that are super ancient, again, by American standards. It's not that old, but still pretty cool to have this record of what this place looked like compared to what it looks like today. So that's where we're going to work with it. All right. But this map, it's a topographic map from the USGS. And the USGS, one of the big things they've done that's super cool, super useful for research around this place is they have mapped out this whole country, okay, with these topographic maps. So every inch of the United States has been mapped. And that term topographic refers to a complete picture of the environment, of reality, in this case, the greater Placerville area. And what that means is we've got both physical or natural features and all the societal stuff, right? The human thing. So you can see here we've got, towns and roads and things like that people built, but we also have elevation as designated by these different contour lines, right? And the idea is anywhere these lines touch, that's what that elevation is. The darker ones, I'll zoom in here, these darker brown ones and thicker ones, we call these index contours. Like this one says 3,000, right? So anywhere this line touches, every little spot where that line goes, that's 3,000 feet above sea level. Right? This one, 3,500, 3,500 feet above sea level. The lighter brown ones are these, we call them intermediate, I think. They're just not index contours. I forget the exact name. But these are drawn, every contour on here is drawn at an interval of 100 feet. That's the case for this map right here. Keep this in mind. This is not always the case. Some maps will have a 5-foot contour interval. Some will have, a 200-foot. It depends on the scale of the map and the terrain and all of that. Okay, but that's that. We've got some river and drainage stuff in here. So it's this nice mix of societal things, physical things. We get the total picture of what was going on in 1893, right? And reprinted 1898, the old cursive. I mean, it's just cool to have these old things here. So this is what we're going to mess with. And we're going to turn this into useful digital data. But in order to do that, and in order to do this georeferencing, we need to have some fixed points on our map here that we're looking at, this historical map, and then fixed points in ArcGIS Pro that we can line up, right? We can reference this image to the actual physical space. That's the idea behind this. And luckily, not every map is this convenient, but with these USGS maps, they have latitude and longitude coordinates all around this thing. We're looking at one right here. This 38 degrees, 30 minutes, and that's latitude, and that's a north latitude. So it's 38 degrees, 30 minutes north. And then our longitude is 120 degrees, 30 minutes west. Okay? These coordinates together gives us that point right here. And what we're going to do is we're going to make a table with this and other coordinate pairs throughout the map. We'll turn that table into points, actual feature class in ArcGIS, and then we'll line up the points in ArcGIS to the points on this image, line it up. It's going to be beautiful. That's the plan, right? But in order to do this, we need to create a table that houses all of these points. Okay, so to do this, we need some kind of spreadsheet software. And what we're going to do, come back here, is we're going to use Microsoft Excel. I don't want to hear any complaints. I don't want to hear booing from you. Everybody loves Microsoft Office and Microsoft 365, whatever it is they're calling it at this moment in time. Look, we're going to use Excel for a few reasons. Number one, this is what grown-ups use, okay? Google Sheets and Google Docs and all the Google stuff, knock it off. Leave that back in elementary school, high school, or whatever. And that's what the kids play with. We're grown-ups. We're going to use Microsoft. The reason behind that, look, Google Docs, Google Sheets, like all the Google Office stuff, whatever they call it, it's great. There's a lot you can do with it, but it can only take you so far. Okay, there are things that Excel just does way better. It's a more complex bit of software here, so we can do more with it. That's why I say grown-ups. But I mean, in just the professional world, whatever industry you have, we tend to use Microsoft Word versus Google Docs, or Excel versus Google Sheets. Sheets, that just sounds ridiculous anyway. So we're going to use Microsoft, okay? The other thing too is it's freely accessible if you're a student in this class, really just a student in, well, I can speak to, a lot of California universities and colleges. We got access to it. I don't know what it's like around the rest of the state, but Microsoft access to 365 seems pretty consistent in higher education if you're a student. And you have free access. Your tuition or whatever is paying for it, but still, we got access, so let's use it. To get to it through Antelope Valley College, if you're signed up for this course, but you're, technically you'd be a student here, but we got a lot of stuff going on with community colleges and where you're not really a student, but you're, enrolled somewhere else. Like, I don't know. If you're not an ABC student, there's a way you can get to it. And if not, let me know. But if you're technically enrolled through Antelope Valley College, go to our single sign-on portal. It's just this avcid.abc.edu, where you'll sign in. I think it might make me do it. Let's refresh. No, okay, I'm signed in. When you first go here, it'll give you that login thing. You put in your email address, your password. It takes you to this page. And you'll have these different little squares, rectangles, whatever, that have all these options for you. One cool thing you can do is with edit mode, you can move stuff around. Like I moved Microsoft 365 up to the top. Google Drive, I don't really use that anymore because we got rid of it. So you can move that stuff down, right? Maybe I want this one closer to the front and this one can go down. So you can move this stuff around, set it up like you want it. The thing, I don't know if you can delete things, but don't delete it. Just put the useful stuff up top. Hit save, turn off edit mode so you don't keep screwing it up. Whatever, you're ready to go. But from here, click on Microsoft 365. You can check that. It's going to keep asking you. It's ridiculous. But just stay signed in. Yes, yes, yes. Here we go. Here. Yeah, we go. Here's one of the first recording things that pops up. I don't see anything that's confidential, so I think we're good. In here, okay, a few things. This install and more. Install Microsoft 365 apps. Highly recommend. On your own computer. Download, at the very least, Word and Excel onto your computer. Don't work in it in this online environment because they limit some of the tools you have. You can't do everything online, but if you download Excel, you got tons of options in here. So up here where it says install and more, you can do that. But for now, we can just, with this one, we're not doing anything fancy. We can do stuff within this online environment. So go here to this little array of squares or whatever. You can either click on Excel or you can click on workbook. Okay? I'm just going to do this workbook because this saves me a step, basically, to click here. It's opening up a new file, and it's just this blank workbook right here where I can start entering data. Okay, this is a spreadsheet. It's the idea that instead of a document where I'm typing out sentences, I'm putting in data in this tabular format. Okay, and so with all of these different types of software where you can do this stuff, we have columns, that's the vertical lines here, and then rows where we go horizontally. And in Excel, they've got the columns with letters A, B, C, and so on. So like this is column C, and then the rows are numbered. So that's column 7. And then where these things intersect, like C7 would be right here, right? That's that cell. Okay, cell meaning CELL. That's where the data will be typed in, placed, whatever. Okay, so that's how to kind of think of this thing right here. First move, I'm going to give this a name other than book 1. So I click up here, I can change the name. I've been calling it Placerville _ points multiple times here. I didn't delete the last one, so I'll just call it 2, but you can call it Placerville points. I'm not doing a space. I'm keeping everything simple. I'm going to, for now, just save it in my documents folder. That's fine. We're going to move this later. So just save it to your desktop or document somewhere where you can find it. Okay, once I'm good there, I'll just hit enter. It saves it. It has a name. It'll be easy if I have to search it later on. So good. We got that. Now what I want to do is I want to put in what are called headers. Okay? And my headers here, let's type them first, and I'll explain. This first one in A1, we're going to type lat, L-A-T, for latitude, and then long, L-O-N-G, for longitude in cell B1. Okay? And what these aren't data, these are names, titles, things to help explain what the data that follow are. Okay, so this is just, think of this as just decorative titles, that kind of stuff. Under here, starting at A2, is where the actual data will be typed. Another thing here, I'm not getting creative. Okay, kept it short, kept it simple, no spaces. I'm not messing with font, making it bold, having cool borders, doing any of that stuff to make it pretty. Don't do it. That's just going to lead to errors down the road. Okay, so keep it simple. We're not going to look at this table. We're going to be using this table to make something visual. Okay, so don't waste any time messing around and stuff. Leave it all defaults here. But then from here, we're going to input our actual latitude and longitude coordinate pairs. So like this first one, 38 degrees, 30 minutes north, I'm going to type in 38 for the degrees, but ho, here's, this is interesting. Do I put in a degree symbol, then a 30 and a little like apostrophe single tick mark right there for minutes? How do I put this in here? Here's the issue. This system, latitude and longitude, it's about 2,000 years old, developed well before we had computers and Excel and all of that. It's based on fractions and fractions of fractions. It's great from a logical standpoint, terrible from a computer science standpoint. So we need to convert what we call degrees, minutes, and seconds. We don't have seconds here, but it's the idea. This traditional way of writing this stuff down, we need to convert it to what we call decimal degrees, meaning the number here, 38, 120, the actual degrees, that's going to be the same. But instead of 30 minutes, we're going to convert that into a decimal. Now, what a minute refers to is it's 1/60th of a degree. Okay? It's a fraction of a degree. We took a degree of latitude or longitude and we divide it into 60 equal minutes. And that's a way to just get more precise with our locations that we're recording. So with this, it's 38 degrees and 30 over 60 minutes. Okay, 30 over 60 as a fraction. We reduce that down, we simplify that. It's 1/2, right? 1 over 2. We turn that into a decimal. That means 0.5. So here, let me type it up here. So 38 degrees, 30 minutes is 38.5 degrees. Okay? it's a case where 30 over 60, it's half. So it's 38 and a half or 38.5. That's what we mean by decimal degrees. Longitude, same kind of deal. This is luckily easy, 120 degrees, 30 minutes. We're going to type in 120.5, right? Because again, 30 over 60, 1 half, 0.5. So that's cool. Although, hold tight, there's an issue with this. We can't leave it like this. Our numbers are good, except if we leave it like this, we're going to wind up in the wrong place, out in the ocean or something. All right, let me pull this one up. We have this image here to represent what we're dealing with. In bringing this into the computer, we're going from like looking at a map and being able to say, 38 and a half degrees north and 120 and a half degrees west. We need to think in terms of positive and negative values and this classic Cartesian grid setup. We have to think like we did back in algebra class, which, and I know you're like, wow, good, I loved algebra. I get it. Nobody likes algebra. It's awful. No offense, algebra teachers, but here's the deal. This is how the computer is handling our coordinate system in here. When we were mapping stuff back in whatever grade it is, when we first started mapping stuff in algebra class, we had positive values and negative values, right? We had the x-axis and the y-axis. We can think of that as the equator and the prime meridian, right? When thinking about latitude and longitude. So what this means is anything north of the equator, when it comes to latitude here, is going to be a positive value. Anything south of the equator on this side down here is going to be a negative value. Now we're dealing with California, so this is 38.5 degrees north. And what that means is it's positive, okay? It's a positive value. So I'm going to leave that one as is. But this 120.5, that's degrees west of the prime meridian. So it means I'm on this side over here. So my longitude value has to be negative. If I leave it like this, if I leave it positive, it's going to think I'm over in the eastern hemisphere, right? So I have to, in here, put a negative in front of the longitude. And that's going to be the case for all of these longitude values because we're just dealing with one little portion of California, right? So it's easy to just remember. Latitude in California is going to be positive. Longitude is going to be negative. And here's one thing. I typed in it, clicked in the cell, got to the front of it, put this negative thing in front of it, just the minus sign in front of it. But be aware, I still do this, even though I know better. When I'm done, I tend to just kind of click to the next cell I'm going to work on. But what I've done by putting that negative in there, I'm basically saying, hey, Excel, I'm ready to do some math. I want to do some cool, add some formula to something, calculate some value or whatever. And then when I click out here, I'm saying, I want to do some math and I want to do it to cell A3. And so it's getting ready for that stuff. No big deal. If you click out and it's doing this, just hit the backspace or whatever, get rid of that. And just once you've hit this negative thing in here, just hit enter to escape. And then you can click wherever and it's not a problem. Okay, but just keep that in mind. If you go in here and you're typing stuff and you click somewhere else, it's going to start doing weird things. It's going to be a pain. Put that negative in, hit enter, you're good. Okay, but this first thing right here, this 38 and a half and negative 120 and a half, that's this point. And what we need to do is go through and do the same thing for all the other points where we have this information. As you scroll up, let me try to show this here. And this is kind of a trick, not having the actual map in front of you looking at a computer screen. It can be a pain. Just bear with it. But if we go up, I'm just going to go north on the edge of the map right here. I've got this line running across and that 40 minutes up here. This is referring to, because I'm moving north, it's referring to my latitude value. So at this point, this is 38 degrees 40 minutes north, and it's still 120 degrees 30 minutes west. This whole line, vertical line, is the same longitude because that's how longitude is drawn. So here's a cool thing. For this point, right where the little hand cursor is, my longitude is going to be the same, negative 120.5. Okay, but my latitude, it's going to be 38 something, but it's 40 over 60 instead of 30 over 60. Now you might go, whoa, 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 I didn't sign up for anything other than a half. Maybe the concept of 2/3 is scary. I get it. Don't worry about it. What you can do if you start to get some interesting numbers here, and especially if you get like, 37 minutes or something like that, where it's not clearly obvious what that decimal should be, what you can do is search for, in Google or whatever favorite search engine you have, search for a lat long converter. The first one that pops up, this FCC one, works great. Left click on it, and just in these boxes, you type in the value. So degrees, minutes, seconds, latitude would be 38 degrees. You can hit the tab thing on your keyboard or just use your mouse. 40 minutes, and then seconds, we don't have any, so we just put 0. Just to be safe, I can put 120. In my longitude, it's 30, and it's 0. And then I hit convert to decimal, and it does the math for you, right? So it's, 120.5. We got that. It's not doing the positive negative because I didn't tell it it was negative. I wonder, you can do it that way just to be safe if you want to copy and paste and all of that. And that's exactly what you can do. You can select this value, Control V or right click, and there in this cell, oh, not Control V, you dummy, Control C, sorry, call myself a dummy, not you, I think you're cool, and Control V up here, right? Wait, that's the wrong, oh, is that what it was? It was the last one, I see, all right, here, let's start afresh, change the number, because it took a value I copied the last time I recorded this video. So it should be 38.666667. Okay, Control C, and then in here, Control V. That's what I want to see. Okay, so that's my value for this point up there. It's also a case with Excel, depending on how wide your columns are, you hover over it and you left click and hold, you can move these columns to make them wider or narrower. But what it'll do with this one is it rounds it to 38.7. Okay, it's not changing the data, it's just how you see it. If we look in this formula bar, that's the full number, but it only has so much space, so it's going to round it to that first decimal place. You move it out, it changes how you see it, but again, the number stays the same. So don't worry about that. Okay, it's auto saving. Cool, I'll move on to the next one. If I go up here, okay, now it's at 38 degrees 50 minutes. So I can come back in here. I can just change that to 50, convert to decimal, and there we go, 38.833333. Control C, Control V, or just right click, copy, right click, paste, however you want to do it. And of course, with longitude, it's still going to be 120.5, negative 120.5. And then I come all the way to the top corner, and it's still negative 120.5. Okay, but now it's 39 degrees, and it's just 39 degrees even, no minutes. I don't need to convert anything. It's just going to be 39. Okay, so those 4 points right here are these 4 spots along the eastern edge of the map. And what I want you to do is go through here and get all the points. It should be 16 altogether based on my math. I'm pretty sure, or yeah, it should be. Maybe now it's 16. But as you go through, so, and it's a case where we did this side, but up here at the top, same kind of deal. But pay attention. Now this change the 40 minutes, 50 minutes, that has to do with longitude. So this line is 120 degrees, 30 minutes. This line going this way is 120 degrees, 40 minutes. 120 degrees, 50 minutes. This whole line, the whole way down. This line is at 38 degrees, 50 minutes north. That goes all the way around, so keep that in mind. This intersection right here, near the beautiful town of Soapweed, beautiful name, that spot would be 38 degrees, 50 minutes north, 120 degrees, 40 minutes west. So make sure you get those interior points as you're going through. And what you'll see as you go through, hopefully what you'll see, is there are patterns. There's not a lot of nuance and variation. You should see some numerical patterns as you go through, might make it a little easier for you as you're going through here and inputting these things. But what I want you to do, go through the whole map, get all of your points in your Excel spreadsheet here, make sure it's auto-saving and all of that. Go through that, and then once you've done that, open up the next video, which hopefully will record properly the first time. And I'll have my thing up there, all of my points that I've done, so you can pause the screen, look at it, check your work. But I'll have all my points, and I'll show you what to do. What's that next step, right? To take this table we made, bring it into ArcGIS, make those points, and then be able to georeference. And then finally, how can we use this map to create some cool feature classes? Okay, so that's the plan. So keep plugging away at this stuff. Enjoy it. Man, it's fun to be going through a map and typing numbers in a spreadsheet. I don't know. If you like it, fantastic. You're in the right place. If you don't like it, but you like the other stuff, well, it's cool. Here's the good news. This is what we make new people do, right? Like if you're working at a place and you're the new person, you're going to do this grunt work. If you've been there a while, you get to do other things, things that are a little more fun. We all have to pay our dues with this stuff, and it's good to be able to do it. And even still, it's kind of cool to be able to take something that normal humans couldn't actually turn into data, and we turn it into data, right? So keep working, have fun. I'll see you in the next video.